That's why you don't hear me using the financial terms and words. That's why I try to describe for them what's going to happen. So when you say do something with it, does that mean you want your $50,000 to become $75,000, or do you want your $50,000 to pay you $100 a month for a long time? Which would you prefer? See, I'm not saying any of the financial terms. I'm telling them what happens. Which outcome would you prefer? And honestly, I don't really care which outcome they prefer, because I can construct it either way or any way they want. And then I listen. And sometimes the answer is, well, I don't really need more cash, but I do need more tax benefits. Oh, okay, got it. Then that takes us in a different direction. But you've got to give them an example of what happens, because yes, most people don't have the financial understanding that you guys are gaining and that you guys know. They don't know the words, but don't assume that they know. Even if they do know the words, don't assume. Okay? It's really important, because that way you can diagnose. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I'm gonna just have another conversation with them. And
yeah, always expect what you expect. You have to find out, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Because you don't know. Anytime you find yourself thinking, oh, I know. No, you don't. You know what you mean when you say it. Remember, communication is sent, received, and properly interpreted.
Right. So then from there, if we're like, okay, that sounds great. 10 years, interest payments.
Great. Let's
and
do
like, so then I was like, okay, so now why are there $1.2 million? Where? I'm like, how do I? That's
right. That's exactly right. The next step is for us to get it on the phone. So here's the next step. Frank, we're going to be on the phone with the attorney. We're going to make, I'm going to repeat to them everything that you and I just said. And then what's going to happen is that they're going to send over the documentation for you to review. It's going to include the wire instructions. And from there, we'll be ready to go. According to everything that we've discussed, is that where you are? Yeah, that's great.
And then the attorney will know the instrument to protect their money.
Yes, the attorney will know how to draft all of these things up. Yes, if that's what you're asking. I literally to them on the phone with the attorney everything that we said. Like, hey, this is what we're doing. They're going to contribute 1.2 million. That 1.2 million is for the first 10 years is just going to increase the principal balance. At year 10 or at the beginning of year 10, there's then going to receive annual payments of approximately 7% of the balance paid to them annually as an interest-only loan for 60 years. And at the end of that 60 years, there's an option to extend and or for the balloon to be paid off. And then they're going to ask them questions, namely name, phone number, address, and stuff like that.
And we put them on, have everybody on the phone at the same time when having this conversation.
Yeah, that's how I prefer to do it. That's how I prefer to do it, because that way the attorney can confirm right there with them. Is that your understanding? Yes. And then they can ask questions back and forth. Yes. And then the documents go over and then they take it to their attorney and whatever. But at that moment, the deal for all intents and purposes is done. It's just a matter of going through the process of getting the paperwork finished.
Right. And they're transferring the money into my business account or is it? Sure.
If that's the entity you're using.
Yeah.
But that's because in this structure, we're just using a promissory note. It is as simple as that.
Right. Okay. That was the missing piece that I needed to so the promissory note.
Well, it's not always going to be a promissory note, and you're not going to always know what it is. That's why I didn't say it.
Right. I get it.
That's why you're describing what happens. And then you let the attorney decide what the name of that tool is. You describe what happens. You stay at the what happened level, because once you start trying to make it more, the moment you start with a promissory note with never mind. I can make it come.
Nah.
You're gonna.
I feel you.
That's what happens. Don't do that.
I feel you, Jay. That's really profound, man. To bring across to us less experienced investors. is to just stay on describing what's happening, not like this, we're going to use this tool and this is promissory note and treat deed of trust over here and this.
No, that doesn't help you. That doesn't help you help them.
Okay.
Your job is to help them. Using those words, that just makes you look smart and makes them feel like they don't know something.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't do that.